What is up? This is JT Magic Man 25 and I'm going to show you the ultimate video for how to make mixtape songs. Now I'm going to be working with FL Studio today because it is by far the most easy and most powerful. And I'm not going to be able to record and screen cap at the same time, so you'll just have to get the clear idea and then go about it from there. So first off, you're going to want to find a beat that you like, and I've already kind of located one. This is the same beat that I used for Reach for the Stars. So you're going to drag the file straight into the track, and right away it's not going to be lined up to the grid at all, and you'll notice that. Let's get some more real estate here. And you really don't need to mess with this, other than I suggest you hook it up to a mixer channel. So just pick a channel, link it up however you want, that way you can get your levels correct. And a lot of people who mix and master, they put their levels up too high, so in order for the mix to sound right, you might need to turn it down just a hair. Okay, back to this. What we need to do right away, straight away, is actually you can even go ahead and name it and do that, because when you enable the input, if you don't name it before you enable the input on the mixer and uncheck the zero cross, you don't want that at all. If you name it before you enable the input on the mixer, and I'll show you what I mean. If, say, this is your microphone channel and I can't do, but if you enable one of these before you name it, it'll go ahead and untitle it, which is kind of lame, and then you'll have to type it all in. But if you name the track beforehand, it'll go ahead and type it in for you. Just another little annoying thing. But first off, straight away after all that's said and done, what you're going to do is go in here and tempo detect. Now there's not a lot of programs out there that have this tempo detect, or if they do, it's really not easy to find or figure out. This is just by far the greatest. So if I want the tempo to be from 100 to 200, I'll click that, and hopefully it'll find it in that range. Because the faster the tempo, the more the click track will be in your ear, letting you know that you're still on time. Now what you're going to do is zoom in, and what I like to do is just cut the front off. And you'll also have to go to project settings. Never have that on during mixtapes. That is garbage. Don't like it. We're going to turn the PPQ all the way up, which, if you have a lower end PC, is just going to dominate your processor and basically make it explode or catch fire, which would be kind of cool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to line this up as best we can on the grid. And you'll see that when we turn the PPQ up, we can actually zoom into almost milliseconds. So when we play, and what I like to base most of my lining up on is the snare effect, or the snare itself. And we're holding Alt, and we can drag off the grid. The grid, or the snap grid right here, is going to be lines, so each one of these lines is going to snap to. You can disable it by hitting backspace, or you can just hold Alt when you're moving the single object, which is what I usually do. And as you can see, we line that up damn near perfect. So we back out, and then we can drag the front of this back, and boom, we're ready to go. If you want to, you can lock it down to the tempo, and if you fit this to the tempo and type in or hit project, what this is going to do is lock it down to the tempo, and any tempo changes that you make from now on will actually affect the song. Now you saw me clicking no when it said do you want to resample. If you resampled it, it would actually pitch stretch and try to match the original sound with the new tempo. Let's go ahead and give that a try and see what it sounds like. Just remember the original was 164. Whatever the pitch stretching is at on the settings is what it's going to use, so hopefully it's on just normal standard. And obviously that sounds like shit, so what I'm going to do is put it back to what it was, which I hope was 164. But that's how you can manipulate and deal with that. Now everything that you record is going to be on grid. And for example, if you get a file, accidentally delete a file and throw it in your trash can, then it's easier to bring it back in and line it back up without any sort of issue. So whenever you go to record, I always suggest that you keep your lead in. For example, you always want to keep it on the grid. And the reason you want to do that is, like I said, if you accidentally delete a file and you have to go fetch it out of the trash can, you're going to want to be able to put it right back where it was without any issue, and then you can cut off the extra little there's no lyrics, cut off the extra later, and that just makes it easier to replace something that was accidentally deleted. I can't really record audio like this, but if I could, I would do that. Yes, I know, it's not going to work. Okay, I can't really even show you because then I won't be able to screen cap it, and it would be a pain in the butt. But you're going to go next to the mixer and set up an input, so you can label it. And I suggest no matter what kind of mic, what kind of interface, what kind of anything you ever use, leave this dry. If you want anything to affect the monitoring, if you want anything to be able to hear in the monitoring, say, for example, a reverb, you're going to want to throw this on a send. And I don't see reverb because I can't read. But put that on a send. You're going to set it up however you want. I don't suggest leaving it at 20, but whatever. And then go to your input, and then you can just hit reset, and that'll basically send it to 100%. Now your input is sending to send 1, which you can also label as a reverb. Easy as that. And you can also set a delay on this one, same thing, same way. That way nothing of the original sound is affected, because one of the things about FL Studio is if I put plugins on the input, any plugin, equalizer, say I put a gross beat. If I have this gross beat running on this track while I'm recording, anything that goes into it is also put into the WAV file. So you cannot undo that. So anything that you want to do like that, you just want to send it to it. That way you're always recording a dry signal. And I suggest to always record a dry signal no matter what. You can always go back and tweak later. One thing that you can do on this track, if you have lower end equipment, which I used to, and it's not that big a deal, I used to still get a really good sound, you can either use a soft clipper, which is really nice. It's just a very limited limiter, and it's very simple. Basically anything that goes over 0 dBs will be cut off, and you can even change how the threshold is. You can make it squish it down real hard or real soft, or just do a hard limiter like that. Or you can just go ahead and use a compressor. And Fruity Compressor is actually really, really nice. I don't know why I just clicked that. That was not what I wanted. Right there. Fruity Compressor is pretty nice. There's some decent presets. This is a decent preset. This is a decent preset. But most of the time I leave it at default, and I'll just mess with the gain knob. You really don't want it to affect the attack of the mic or well, basically anything. All you want it to do is hard limit to keep anything from clipping and going over 0 dBs. So I hope this is helping you get started. And plus, one thing I forgot to mention, if you don't lock this into your tempo, which a lot of other programs is very difficult to do, you'll notice that when you put a delay, say, just for now I'm going to put it on this track, which I don't suggest doing, but if you want you can. If I put a delay bank on this unit, this is timed primarily off of the tempo. So this right here is based on this tempo. If you don't have this locked down to a tempo or even close to it, you're never going to be able to get that delay to be exactly what you need it to be, and it's going to sound like shit. So you want to make sure and do that. And after you go ahead and record, I don't know, I like to do overdubs and stacking of vocals a lot. So once you get your audio clips, you're going to grab those and basically like this, and then you're going to hook them up to a channel. This is when you're going to do your tweaking, and I'm just using that as an example because I don't have any way to record audio while I'm screen capping. For example, you need to EQ it, take out some of the, usually most mics you're going to need to pull out some of the mid-range, maybe even cut the bass off or even lower the bass down a little bit. If you have a really, really terrible mic, you may have to take the high end up and then have like a cut on the very high end. I don't know, for example, something like that. I've had to work with older dynamic mics that I had to EQ the holy you know what to get them to sound anyway halfway decent, and you're going to want to do that after the fact. Now this right here is an EQ also, but it is an after EQ. For example, if I throw a compressor on here, anything and everything after the compressor, which is this EQ, will send it over the top of the levels, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to reset this. So disable this. As you can see, it was flying way over the top. It's going way above 0 dBs, and you don't want that because that's going to cause some distortion in your music. So only use this EQ when you can get away with it. When it's in the middle and it doesn't ever reach the top, you can get away with using this mic or this EQ, and it really doesn't sound bad. It's very simple. I use it a lot. But if it's too high, then you have to put an EQ in front of the compressor. The compressor will need to be the last in the chain to keep it from spiking over the 0 dBs. And we'll go ahead and make this into an example. And by the way, this is going to sound terrible. Let's put some bass in it too. So there you see it stayed right at 0 dBs because the compressor is actually hard limiting and keeping it from moving over. And no matter what I do to affect it, it shouldn't make it over that line. And this is honestly where a lot of producers or recording artists go wrong when they're doing music. If you up too much on an EQ and then you squash it right back down with a compressor, you're going to create audio artifacts that are going to ruin the sound of the music altogether. This is a no-no. You'd be better off leaving it almost mostly dry than doing that. Do not overcompress your music or your vocals, or they will start to sound robotic and like missing bit depth, and it'll just sound weird. So just keep it simple when it comes to that. I suggest just resetting this and doing subtle, very subtle removing of frequencies, and the only ones I ever really boost is 6, and then a lot of times if it's a vocal I'll have to take out a little bit of the super high end to get rid of that S sound, because when my mouth is dry I just S. But it's just what happens in condenser mics. They pick that up really well. So now it doesn't go over the 0 dBs, it's not clipping, and it sounds alright. Well, those are some of the basic principles behind recording. You really don't need to know too much more than that, other than advanced stuff, which I'm not going over right now because I don't want to make this video too long. So that is how you're going to go about starting to make mixtapes. Now you're going to also have to go on the hardware side and have an interface that is audio capable, and you're going to need at least a dynamic mic, which is like the lowest of the low when it comes to recording, but you can still get a good sound out of a dynamic mic, so I'm not saying that. But your best bet is to find either a USB condenser or a interface, and then get a condenser mic. Well, they call them condenser mics, but really they're capacitive mics. I don't get the whole argument there, but they're better sounding. They have a cleaner sound. You don't have to do as much EQing to them. You're going to want to work on that, but that's a separate story and topic altogether, because that could literally be an hour or 2 long video on finding the right equipment. And that's not what I'm here today to do. I'm just here so that you can get started on recording your own music with FL Studio. And trust me when I say this, I've used many different programs, including Cubase that came with my Tascam, which is, I would say, one of the upper echelons for recording. I think it's better than Pro Tools. I've had Pro Tools, didn't like it. Cubase is a little bit better than Pro Tools, and Magic's Sequoia and Samplitude is far better than pretty much everything except for FL Studio when it comes to making mixtapes. It's better in the long run, like it's more professional, but FL Studio for making mixtapes, if you undo this little thing right here, it's going to unarm every time you record. If you undo this, and I also suggest undoing that, because you really don't need 32-bit recording. 16 is plenty for mixtapes because you're recording over the top of MP3s. But you can literally just record over and over and over without having to set up new tracks, new mixer tracks, and all this crap. I can bang out 10 overdubs in 30 seconds without setting up anything. And then I can connect all those to whatever channel I want and then affect them all at the very same time. If I've got a whole entire hook section, all I have to do is send, say, this one has vocals, this one has high vocals, this one has low, and all these. All I have to do is go to these and find a send channel to send them all for a master vocal, and then right click, route to this track only. Do the same for this. Not sure which one I was on. Same for that. Same for that. And then all of those will be routed to a vocal master. You will name it vocal master, and then you can turn the whole thing down according to the mix of the whole entire song. So the ability and flexibility of this program is unmatched by any other DAW in the entire world as of now. So I suggest you go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to thumbs up. I'm thumbsing up, but you can't see me. I'm thumbsing up FL Studio. And I think that's going to conclude it for now. If I missed anything or you have any questions, go ahead and hit the comments, and I'm going to film some more videos on this subject. So just be waiting, subscribe. I'm going to be coming back with this stuff, and we're going to get some stuff knocked out of the way. Get some stuff recorded. And I keep saying stuff. I need some new lyrics. But anyway, this is JT Magic Man 25, and I'm out. Thanks for watching.